Hey everybody, this is Crowmar with TGN. I'm here today to bring you another World of Warcraft Cataclysm video. Today we're just taking a real quick look here at Reforging. Reforging is pretty simple, you probably figured it out, but if you are new to 85 or new to Cataclysm and you need a little help with Reforging, hopefully this guide will help you make some decisions. Now this is from the point of view of the Enhancement Shaman, so let's go ahead and take a look at how Reforging works. The first thing, let me find something that's not reforged already. Your stat choices, let me just bring them up here, are hit and expertise for your accuracy stats. Expertise is for melee only, of course. Dodge and parry for tanks. Spirit for healing, and crit, haste, and mastery are your filler secondary stats for DPS. Mastery is also quite useful for tanks and healers as well. Now, the way this works is that you can pick any one of your stats and your secondary stats on an item, and it'll take off a certain percentage of that, like 40% I believe, and then you can add those points with some other stat. So you can't completely get rid of a stat. Another thing is that, like, I see how I have mastery on here, I can't add more mastery. So you can add a third stat, but no, you can't just pile on to one particular stat. So that little bit of inflexibility prevents you from overstacking certain stats. Now, the number one goal of Reforging is not even to stack the proper secondary stat, although that's good too. The number one goal is to make sure you hit your hit and expertise caps for DPS. Now, I want to talk about this a bit because I get a lot of questions like, what's my hit cap, what's my expertise cap, and stuff like that. So I'll tell you right now, you no longer have to memorize some number. The only number you need to know is 0. You want 0% chance for your specials to miss. You want 0% chance to be dodged by whatever you're fighting. And you want 0% chance for your spells to miss against whatever you're fighting. And that's really easy to get, actually. Now, you probably noticed that I have a 10% chance to miss against raid boss as well. This character is, I'm not really raiding with him except Argoloth, who's so easy it doesn't count. But I'm really doing heroics at this time. And for heroics, the bosses are only level 87. So you don't actually need to have the 17% chance to hit. You only need to have 6%. So as you see, against all level 87 heroic bosses, I'm going to have a 0% chance to miss with spells, and a 0% chance to dodge. If you're PvPing, switch to my PvP gear here, I don't think my stats are perfect. It's a little different. For one, your expertise, there's no set cap for expertise, because everybody has a different amount of dodge. So if I'm fighting like a rogue or something, really any agility class, they're going to have a much higher dodge, and I will be dodging all the time. But I could add more expertise if I wanted, it wouldn't hurt. For a spell hit, of course, level 85s only require 4% spell hit, so this is really easy to get. You just make sure that your level 85 is at 0% miss, and you'll be good to go. I have a little extra here. I could probably, if I really worked at it, I could probably get that down a little bit and eke out like a couple measly points of mastery or something, but it's not worth it. But now, once you hit your hit and your expertise caps, now, the other thing it mentioned for non-spell users, you don't have to worry about that spell tab. You just go to your hit right here and just make sure your specials are at 0. Don't worry about your white hits because any dual wielder is going to have such a high miss chance that it's really difficult to get 0%. You have to pretty much dump every stat you have to get 0%. And on live right now, Fury Warriors are generally gearing themselves towards white hit, but that's going to be changing with the patch. That's the way I understand it anyway. That may change also, but we'll see. For now, as a general rule of thumb, don't worry about your white miss chance, just worry about your special attack miss. Make sure that's at 0% for melee and hunters. Once your caps are done, you got to look at your other 3 secondary stats as DPS, which is haste, crit, and mastery. And which one's best depends on your class. Now, I've got a list up on the forums at wow.tgn.tv under the PvE gear section, which is, I'm going to put this video here too. But if you look at the gemming guide, there's a chart there, which I'm going to keep updated. And it says what secondary stats for what DPS classes. And if you check out that chart, look up your Shadow Priest or whatever you are, and check and see where you are in the chart to see what secondary stats you should reforge for. Now, if you have some dispute with the chart, like if you think it's wrong or it's outdated, please tell me. I really want to get it up to date. I really want to keep it up to date. I did make some corrections just the other day. I also updated Paladins for the next patch, and I updated one of the hunters I think that I had wrong. But anyway, if you just tell me that I got a stat wrong and give me some links to or some math to figure out that one of my stat choices was wrong, let me know. I will be happy to update it. Now, I do want to show you real quick some of the choices I've made for Reforging to get to these stats the way they are. Now, like if you look at each item one by one, I reforged almost every single thing. Basically what I did was I took every single point of haste, I reforged into something. First I reforged into expertise, get my expertise cap, then spell hit, and then lastly mastery, because mastery for Handsman Shamans is by far the best stat. And then I also reforged out of my crit as well. On my cloak I dropped some hits since I was over the cap, and I got me down to 6.11, so I was just barely over the cap without wasting points. I already had mastery on this cloak, so I could add more mastery, so I just said, well, whatever, I'll just add some critical strike. Good enough. So this whole game of balancing your stats to get your hit and expertise like exactly at the cap and all that, it's pretty difficult, but and every time you change it you have to spend a small pittance of gold, but it's totally worth it because it does help me min-max your character, and it makes it a lot easier to get your hit and expertise caps. You don't have to rely on gems, so it's quite important to use reforging to achieve that. Alright, well that's it for this quick little video. That's all I wanted to talk about was reforging. It's not that complicated of a subject, but if you were curious about the best way to figure out your stats, that's how you do it. You just aim for your 0% on your caps and get your other secondary stat. Healers, of course, you want to go for Spirit. If you can't get Spirit because you've already got Spirit in the gear, you get Mastery, and tanks get Avoidance. If you're trying to choose between Parry and Dodge, they're exactly the same now. They have the same diminishing returns and everything. So just get whichever one you have the least of, that's all. Well, that's all for today. Thanks for watching, and this was Chromart with TGN.